welcome back to another episode of Paranormal Pundits,
Mm-hmm.
joined by my wonderful co-host, Sarthak, the Goat Care, and Sumer, the truest one, Verma.
The truest one, Burma.
Yep.
Let's see what's been happening in
Yeah, some
the news.
interesting new developments with the congressional UFO stuff. A couple of the congressmen that were working on it, they're like, "Oh, we got approved for a skiff," which is like this confidential uh, building in a Congress where they can actually receive like super classified information.
Skiff.
Yeah, it's called a SCIF. I don't know what the full form of skiff is. It's like something
Scientific something?
no, it's like not scientific, like compartmentalized information, something.
Okay.
That's what it stands for. So like apparently you can only give classified info in those specific boxes. They don't have any connection to the internet and stuff.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So apparently David Grush, the guy that made did the congressional testimony in June,
Yeah.
they took away his security clearance after he did that, but apparently
Talk more into the mic.
apparently they are allowing him to do a skiff with these congressional members in December.
Okay.
Yeah. And so is the inspector general.
Okay.
Who's going to be giving a skiff in December. So, should be interesting.
It's moving along.
Yeah. And then they're also about to start debating the UFO bill that was included in the defense bill that they're going to be debating, the defense budget for next year.
Exciting news.
Yep.
Okay.
Exciting news.
So that's the update on the congressional hearing that happened, 3 months ago now?
Yeah, it happened in July, right? July 26th.
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, July 26th is when it happened. The AARO, the Pentagon's UAP office, they also released their report.
Mm-hmm.
They put in some more orbs and shit people have been seeing online, some more military sightings, and they've actually created an official place now where government workers can report UFO sightings.
So there's a forum?
Yeah, they've actually created a formalized place where government workers can upload their sightings.
Okay, so things seem like they're moving in like more of like a disclosure.
Exactly. See, that's why, although we've discussed this in the past, I just feel like after 75 years of denial, the government actively doing this is a little suspicious. Now, it could be just them getting ready to say that we discovered this super secret new technology or super advanced technology, and we were just trying to hide it and test it. It could be that. But then for 75 years, I don't think the government would have something and just not use it.
You should talk more into the mic.
And not use it.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so we've covered that before. But today, what I really wanted to get into was legitimate sources of evidence we already might have of extraterrestrial life. Now, I'm not talking about intelligent extraterrestrial life. I'm talking about just life on other planets. So,
are you talking about like
microbial life?
Okay.
Microbial life or any other evidence of some kind of life from outer space. So I just want to test some extremely plausible pieces of evidence that actual scientists have recorded.
Pull that cord a little closer to you.
That actual scientists have recorded. So I just wanted to cover that.
Okay.
So just to, because while we're considered the paranormal pundits, even though we don't talk about ghosts that don't exist. Ghosts don't exist.
Yep. I don't know where I stand on that, but yeah.
Ghosts don't
I don't
exist.
think they exist.
Ghosts don't exist.
Okay, yeah.
They could be aliens. But we're not talking about that today.
Okay.
But yeah, so today I just wanted to talk about some very plausible pieces of evidence that scientists have actually discussed. Now, these haven't been confirmed. They're actually simply unknown. We don't know what the true meaning of these pieces of evidence are. So I just there are about 5 different topics I want to discuss. They're mostly scientific, and then some of them are a little more speculative, but some of these are actual things we've recorded in the past. Yeah. So,
also, by the way, before we start, we got a new sign. So we're
Alien Crossing, y'all.
Yeah, this is the Alien Crossing. This is Paranormal Pundits, but where we record is called the Alien Crossing. So yeah, we're moving along with our set design.
Yeah, and our there's actually.
If you want to support us, Venmo us.
Yes, Venmo me, please.
No, we'll share a way for you to help us if you want to ever help produce, so we can make more episodes and talk more about alien.
Yeah, we're also
Alien
moving
shit.
to a new studio, guys. So
Yeah, we'll be changing some studio sets until we finalize on one. But,
Yes.
keep your eye
yeah,
on that. So
We
watch
might
our
be-
YouTube. Go on YouTube, subscribe, like on
at
YouTube as
Paranormal
well.
Pundits.
If you're only listening to the audio, but let's dive into these scientific sightings.
So the first thing I wanted to discuss was a mission to Mars we had in the 70s.
The Viking missions.
Yes, the Viking 1 and Viking 2 missions.
Mhm.
So, unlike the missions we have now to Mars, these weren't rovers. They were simply landers. They had some sensors on them to do some experiments and
What
stuff.
do you mean by landers?
So they just parachuted down to the surface. They didn't move.
And just stayed still?
Yes.
Okay.
So these were the Viking 1 and 2 missions. I believe it was...
How they were retrieved?
Huh? They haven't.
They're just there.
They're just there. We just got that. We just have the sensor information, which is why, like, as I go along, you'll understand why we haven't confirmed some of this evidence they've sensed. So the Viking 1 and 2 missions, I believe they were both launched in the 70s. I think 72 and 74,
Mhm.
but I'm not 100% sure if those were the years, but it was in the 70s.
Mhm.
But so basically, both these landers carried a couple biological experiments to test the Martian soil, right?
Yeah.
For like possible microbial activity. That was, and this was in the 70s.
This is
Now,
August 20th, 1975. Is
both
when
of them, or when did
the
one?
first one?
First
the,
one. When was the
Viking
second
one was
75. Okay.
75, and Viking 2 mission was September 9th, 1997, 75 as well. So
Okay,
it was
so they're-
within like 2 weeks.
Okay, so they were both. Maybe they were on the same launch together. I think they were on the same launch together, but they landed in different areas of Mars.
Could be, yeah. So the first one was August 20th, 1975, and the second one is September 9th. So that's like
Yeah, I think they were probably on the same.
a little over
mission.
2 weeks.
Same mission, different areas of Mars.
Okay.
So I don't remember if it was Viking.
It was
1.
a 5-year-long mission.
Yeah.
It just says here it's like September 9th, 1975 to April 11th, 1980.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But basically, these missions were to test the Martian soil for any microbial activity. So people weren't really expecting anything to show up.
Mm-hmm.
But so they had this one sensor called the gas chromatograph mass spectrometer.
The GCMS.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this was basically designed to identify any molecules that were present in the Martian soil. So we know right now that the Martian soil is actually like really toxic. So
Mhm.
it has this one particle in it called perchlorate. So it's a mixture of chlorine and something else, and it's really harmful to biological substances.
Okay.
So we knew that was there,
Mm-hmm.
but we still wanted to test for microbial life. So once we landed there, actually, they picked up some.
Talking to the mic. Bro.
I am talking to the mic. Bro.
You're holding to the side right here.
Well, they were. So once they tested the soil, they actually, like the sensors, found evidence of like organic gases coming from the soil as they heated it up. So,
Oh.
so they essentially they heated up the soil that they got into the lander,
Yeah.
and they heated it up to see if any gas came out. So basically, if you burn an organic or some kind of an organic molecule, like maybe it's a microscopic like piece of bacteria or just a microbe or something, it releases a tiny amount of gas.
Yeah.
So we did this, and they found in the sensor information evidence of this gas that only comes from microbial life.
Okay.
So, and then, but
I mean,
and both the landers tested positive for this.
but that's microbial life. That necessarily doesn't mean like there's
No, but that's the whole point. NASA still hasn't admitted that it was. They still haven't said they've discovered they have evidence of microbial life. But I think that's more because they're going to be sending up missions to return soil samples. I think if we find evidence of microbial life, then I think then they will admit to the public. I think the reason, so they found this and reported it to the public that the Viking missions actually discovered this kind of organic molecule.
Yeah.
But they still haven't said, they basically said it's unconfirmed. So later studies suggested that.
Have you read these studies?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay.
So some other,
or did you just Wikipedia the study?
No, some of the other studies said that the positive reading could have happened just because the perchlorates react some sort of way
that releases a gas.
Yeah, so they're not 100% sure what it was. They're basically like, if there was other kinds of non-actual like microbial life, but just organic material, not actual life, it could have reacted when we heated it up with the perchlorate and created that gas.
I see.
But that is still the strongest piece of evidence. We essentially have evidence, and NASA is essentially, they don't want to confirm it. I get it. Science needs to be repeated, and those landers stopped working after a while. So we want to be 100% sure because we don't know what it is. But they're sending up return missions to Mars in the next few years. So, we'll see what happens.
Okay.
But still, this was a positive reading in an actual craft we sent in the 70s that showed, yes, microbial life or organic molecules exist on Mars. So that's just an insane thing to think about. If you think about what Mars is right now, no atmosphere, like 0.3% of Earth's like atmospheric pressure. So essentially just the vacuum of space, just barely anything there, and no magnetic field. So much solar radiation that we get protected from. So imagine if life actually is able to survive there. That means there's microbial life it can exist almost anywhere. Then if it can, if microbial life already exists on Mars, that means it's everywhere.
Yeah, because it will survive in colder temperatures more so than...
If it can already survive in the near vacuum and all that solar radiation, that means that microbial life is a lot more resilient than we're giving it credit for. And it could be a lot more widespread than we understand it now.
That's... I don't know. That's something.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
It was a loss for words right there. I don't know why. It was just very like thinking about that there is microbial life, like evidence to show that there's microbial life.
You want to know what's hilarious? So in the 90s, Bill Clinton, when he was in office, so there was a meteor they found on Earth that was from Mars. And in the microscopic images, they thought a couple of these like tiny things on the rock or like fossilized microbes. And Bill Clinton literally went on the air. They're like, we've just, I can't do a Bill Clinton impression. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
There you go. That's pretty good, actually.
But he went on CNN, is like, we've discovered life. And this is a big thing. Bill Clinton actually went and did this. And then afterwards, they're like, oh, we don't think it was microbes anymore. And I think this is also one reason that they've never
confirmed it.
Yeah.
Because
Bill Clinton... Imagine if Donald Trump got this information.
He probably has more information, doesn't he? Don't you think?
I think
he's
he would
holding something.
I think he would have said something by now. I don't think they told him.
I don't know. I feel like the man's pretty open with his words.
Yeah, open to the Russians, selling them our secrets.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get into political talk here.
That's not political.
It's a little political.
But yeah. Anyway, so I just thought that was really interesting. Like,
also, what's about this NASA claiming 12 Moon had walked on the moon, even though no one has ever played a game of baseball?
NASA, no, this was just some stupid guy on Reddit. He's just like, oh, NASA claims 12 men have walked to the moon, but how can that be true if no one's ever played a game of baseball there? That doesn't even make sense as a logical point or logical claim. Just because someone's walked on the moon, why would they play a baseball game there?
I don't know.
Are there even 12 men on a baseball team? I don't know anything about baseball.
I don't know about baseball. I know about cricket. There's 11 people on a cricket team.
Cricket is stupid.
Well, I think it's quite good. Actually, the World Cup's going on right now. India's winning.
Oh,
we're up. Anyways, I digress. So Next topic. What's the next?
Oh yeah, the other topic I want to talk about is it just happened recently. So there's this scientist, I forgot her name, but she basically predicted that in the upper atmosphere of Venus, because Venus is very inhospitable, so it's basically the opposite of Mars. So like the amount of gas that's present in its atmosphere. So its atmospheric pressure is like 400 times that of Earth. So that means if a person went there, they would get crushed with the atmospheric pressure. But, and because it's really, really hot, it's like 400 degrees on the surface of Venus, like extremely hot.
Yeah.
But there's this scientist, she basically theorized that the upper atmosphere of Venus is actually like about 70 degrees. It's actually it's like very Earth-like, the upper atmosphere. And she's basically like some organic molecules called phosphine, which are basically biomarkers for possible organic life. They could exist in the upper atmosphere. And then they actually did a like they used like a gas spectrometer. And in 2020 or 2021, they actually found evidence of this phosphine in Venus's atmosphere. And this phosphine usually on Earth, so we don't know if it's a different process that's creating this on Mars, but on Earth, phosphine is only released by organic molecules.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that suggests that there's life in the upper layer
of
atmosphere.
So right now, they're still confirming whether it is. Some scientists disagree with the hypothesis. Some scientists are like, it could just be something else generating this phosphine
like
gas.
What?
Some unknown process we don't know. Because
somehow that their outer layer just generates and creates.
Because like if you think about it, like how else could, if the rest of Venus is so inhospitable, how could just organic life be up there, right? But some scientists think that in the past Venus was more hospitable. It wasn't always this hot. It was more Earth-like in the early solar system.
I mean, that would probably make sense in like early on that it's colder.
Yeah.
And then
the sun has gotten hotter since then. So so that was another thing, also kind of related to the Viking missions, just because it was also another piece of evidence for an organic molecule, but we still haven't confirmed it. It's still under, it's under observation and study.
Okay.
But these two pieces of evidence already show that I think life is a lot more likely than we're expecting it to be. I think it's a lot. Man. I don't know about intelligent life, but I do believe that life is a lot more resilient than we give it credit for. If you look at the tardigrades, they're these microscopic animals. I believe they're like the smallest animal, and we've taken them up to the ISS. We've put them out in the vacuum of space, and they survived that shit. So, I think life is very resilient.
I agree. I think life finds a way.
I think we're going to find, I think when we go to Mars, once they send sample missions and bring them up, I do believe that we're going to confirm evidence of microbial life on Mars. I do believe that's going to happen.
And then the question is that microbial life ever evolved into something else and died and stayed that way, or has there ever been any like evolution?
But no, that's actually a theory. It's called panspermia. Basically, they think that like there could be an asteroid that hit Mars with all this when it was more Earth-like in the past, like a few billion years ago, when it might have had more life. An asteroid might have hit it, and then the asteroid traveled with that life to an Earth without life, and then planted that life on Earth. That's called panspermia. That's a theory of how life came onto Earth. Because technically, right now, we don't really know how life fully started on Earth. It's called abiogenesis, but it's still a study, and we don't.
You don't buy into the Adam and Eve?
Let's not get into that.
Okay.
But
I just couldn't help myself. But yeah.
yeah. So
I mean, that's like it. Life on Earth, I feel like, has to have come in some shape or form from outer space. Like, there's no way with this globe, just this sphere, just chilling in the middle of space, and so much going on around us that never has like outer things interfered with this planet right here. And I think that
and that's how the moon was formed.
yeah, exactly. There's how a lot of things in the universe are formed. And they're just, it's very ignorant, I feel like, to just say that that's not true or that cannot happen.
Yeah.
Like, this is it. We're the only ones.
Yeah. I mean, that's the rare Earth hypothesis, which I don't really agree with.
What do you think happened?
I think we're in the zoo hypothesis.
Oh, I think we discussed this on our first episode that's coming.
And I truly believe that.
I can't fully get behind it.
I think we haven't found evidence of life out in space because they're stopping us from
There's
it.
I could go like really like layered. Like that, how if it's a zoo hypothesis?
We're living in the world's largest Truman Show. We're all in the Truman Show.
It's a great movie. I like that movie.
Yeah,
I don't know. I can't fully get behind it. It just doesn't make sense.
I mean, if you think about it, like in Star Trek, they had the Prime Directive, which is basically like the Federation. They can't interfere with like civilizations that are still evolving. They can't go and give them new technology. So like that could be a thing.
But then if they cannot go and give them new technology, how does the congressional hearing with like technology that we haven't found doesn't make sense? Why would they come in?
That's why Star Trek isn't true.
I know. It's a movie.
Yeah.
So
I'm just saying that's why the zoo hypothesis could be true.
Yeah, but I can't get behind it. It's just this. I feel like it's more universe. I feel like it's more random. It's just that's what the universe is. It's just random.
I kind of disagree. I don't.
Everything is disorganized in the universe.
It's not really disorganized. Our solar system, it used to be disorganized.
Yes, but I'm saying like
but right now it's in harmony.
What's the law of entropy? Isn't that something like the most things in the universe are disorganized?
Yeah, but they get more organized over time.
Yes, they get more organized over
time. Like the
time.
Big Bang, it was.
That's why I think life on Earth is like it's definitely an accident, but it's like some chain of chemical reactions of whatever. Like maybe let's say the hypothesis. Oh, did you just take, bro?
Yeah, abiogenesis. So basically, abiogenesis is
hit your vape on the pot.
It's nicotine, bro.
I know, but it's just so funny. I didn't even notice. Sorry,
but it's abiogenesis. So the theory that life just started on Earth is called abiogenesis. Basically, water came to Earth and a bunch of shit happened. There were a bunch of random molecules, and then some people think that lightning struck this like pool of water with all these organic molecules, and the lightning basically jump started it all. And these organic molecules turned into more complex molecules and eventually evolved into life.
Yeah, I mean, that's that makes more sense to me than the zoo hypothesis, I'd say so.
What about panspermia?
Panspermia is also a good one where I feel like, I mean, it could make sense that there was like asteroid showers and Mars and Earth were both in the zone and both got hit. It's hard for me to be like, okay, it hit Mars and then it hit Earth.
No, but we have a lot of evidence of rocks from Mars on Earth, which could have only happened that way.
It makes sense.
They're called Martian meteorites, so we found a bunch of them.
If like there's an asteroid going by or something like that
hits Earth, the impact is so large it could just end up in orbit for millions and millions of years and then just end up on Earth later.
True. Debris from Mars. It doesn't. Yeah, Earth didn't even have to be hit in the same meteor shower.
And now that we talk about some microbial life, let's talk about some more signals that we've received. So let's talk about the WOW signal first.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay.
So we have SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence.
Ohio.
It's those those giant radio telescopes where we try and find evidence of radio signals from intelligent life, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So in 1977, there was this thing called the WOW signal, and it lasted like
1987,
1977,
1977,
and it lasted over a minute, and it was the
72
most
seconds.
It was the most organized, and like it legitimately seemed like an actual form of communication. And the way they actually call it the WOW signal is the scientist who observed it on like the radio that was recording it. He circled on the radio. He just said "wow" next to it. So this was the most organized message we've actually released, gotten from SETI, and we actually then pointed all of the telescopes in the direction it came from, but we actually haven't heard it again since then. But actually, one interesting thing is there are a couple star systems in the direction that the WOW signal came from, and recently we found that a couple of them might have exoplanets in their habitable zones.
Oh wow! Literally wow!
Yeah. So those are we're still getting better at finding exoplanets, but a couple of those star systems, I don't remember the name. I don't remember the name of the constellation the WOW signal came from.
Sagittarius.
Yeah, Sagittarius.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so a couple of the star systems speculated could have some habitable exoplanets.
Is ET phoning us from Proxima Centauri?
But no,
Centauri, sorry.
But Proxima Centauri is too close to us. That's the closest star to us, 4.6 light years away. That's the one we can still theoretically get to.
That's crazy. Yeah.
We can still theoretically get to that within our lifetimes. So they're actually working on
our lifetime?
Yeah. It'll take about
like 90 or something.
It'll take about 50 years to get there.
Okay.
And yeah. So
alien bacteria might live in the clouds of Venus. We cover that.
Yeah. Yeah, so the WOW signal is really interesting. It's the most legitimate actual radio signal we've gotten. But, that's my issue with SETI. I do think they should have more funding. I think a lot of science should have more funding.
Yeah, I agree with that. Instead of other places.
Yeah. But I do think that this is the most legitimate and almost only big form of evidence SETI has gotten in its lifetime. But that's also the issue, that we're assuming that aliens will also
want to talk to us.
No, that they'll be sending signals using a radio. We don't know, like, if there's something else besides radio. Yeah, they can talk us through. So we basically use radio because there's like a baseline emission spectrum, and this isn't like the regular radios that you see. So there's a very specific type of radio, like, wave we listen to, and
certain frequency.
Yeah, scientists theorize that if there was another intelligent species, that they would also use this specific frequency. But I don't really agree with that.
Why?
I'm like,
what do you think they would communicate
if
with?
They're already way smarter than us?
But here's the thing with like the way smarter than us thing. I think if they are smarter than us, they would have to have evolved to get to that point, which would mean that they probably crossed paths with our level of intelligence, and then got to a point where they are surpassed it.
Makes sense. So you think they might know that we're using radio?
Yes, and that would kind of go back to like going into that would almost accompany your zoo hypothesis. Yeah, because that would mean that they know, they just choose not to. But it says here that the signal was for only 72 seconds, and they've never been able to replicate it, though.
They've never been able to find it again.
It's kind of like, I don't know.
But they've never even been able to find anything similar to that.
Yeah, no other signals.
Yeah, so that's why it's interesting. They haven't even found anything similar to how that signal sounded.
It doesn't prove anything.
No, yeah, of course. None of these, Even the Viking doesn't prove anything.
The Viking doesn't
These
prove
are just
anything, yeah.
plausible pieces of evidence that
But what
don't
do you
have
think
answers.
those can be? Do you think those can be like errors in systems that are recording them,
But
or
both the Viking landers got it. That's the thing. Both Viking
yeah, but
landers.
they both were launched within like 2 weeks, so it's very plausible that if
No,
the one
but
had a defect,
they tested these things before, bro.
yeah,
And
but like
both.
tests can also like if you don't cover all your edge cases,
Okay, but these are NASA scientists. I
trust them. I
But no,
definitely, but it's still like plausible.
But bro, that's also just likelihood of two sensors incorrectly sensing something wrong is just as like not likely as it sensing microbial life, right?
Yes.
Both sensors being off. Because other stuff in the sensors also worked perfectly fine. So unless these were both false readings and we just don't know what the readings meant and they came up as positives. So it could be like that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the other thing I want to talk to is a little more recent, but similar to the WOW signal. They're called FRBs. They're called fast radio bursts. So we've been hearing about that. We've been seeing them and hearing them in our radio telescope since 2007. And these are signals that only last a few milliseconds to a couple seconds. And we have no idea what they are, but we get them all the time, actually. Scientists discover these FRBs constantly. And there are a few different theories of what they could be. They could be this type of neutron star called a pulsar.
Yeah.
And they're basically just neutron stars that spin really fast and release high amounts of radiation.
Okay.
So
just in bursts.
Yeah.
Okay.
It basically spin around and just release a shit ton of radiation.
Okay.
And those could be a possible source of the FRBs. I think that
black holes.
It could be black holes, but I think neutron stars neutron stars. So they're something called a pulsar, and then there's something called a magnetar. So these are both they both spin hella fast.
Yeah.
And they create a shit ton of radiation.
Okay.
And those could be possible causes of FRBs. But some scientists think that could be like signals from advanced civilizations. Yeah. So like one interesting thing is they think they think that aliens could be using like stars or these pulsars to communicate with each other across vast distances. So it's like, say, for example, your car is lost in the desert. Say they have a spaceship or something lost somewhere in space. They could be using these pulsars to send radio signals to try and communicate, like a car alarm. That's like one speculative method of why it could be an intelligent civilization.
Maybe. I mean,
no, I'm not. Look, you're thinking that I'm saying that it is.
I know.
I'm not saying that.
I know you're not. But
scientists,
I don't think I believe.
Okay, but you don't have to believe. Scientists don't know how they're being caused. So that's why you have other scientists giving other explanations.
True.
Because we don't have any conventional way, no conventional pieces of scientific wisdom.
It's the idea of thinking about another like civilization trying to like it's their car alarm.
Like a spaceship alarm or just a way to communicate, not a car alarm.
I know, it's just
because communicating over stellar distances is very difficult.
It is very difficult. You have to do it in
so you can use something like a star or a neutron star that releases a shit ton of radiation to do that communication.
Okay.
The whole point of this is there's no explanation for some of these phenomena. Scientists have some theories, but intelligent life is also one of these theories. That's why we're doing this episode, to talk about legitimate things in science that have not been explained, but could be a result of
they have evidence to.
Yes, but they're unanswered questions. They're open questions.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I don't know. It's hard for me to just get my mind around like it being in an civilized, like intelligent civilization.
It's okay, bro. It's because you're not an intelligent civilization.
God damn, sir. Fuck you.
Boom.
Roasted. This is going on YouTube.
Yeah.
You
Good.
high five the camera.
They just high-fived me
Nobody
back.
high fived
They
you.
just high-fived me
If you
back.
high-fived, comment that you high-fived. And if you did not high-five, please comment that you did not high-five and Samir just looked like a dumbass.
No.
Okay. Well, let's move on to like the next topic, which is this signal. Or not signal, but this mysterious object that passed by.
Have we talked about Oumuamua?
I think we talked about it in the second episode. I think we touched on it. It might have been on the first episode.
Yeah. Well,
were you just going to talk about it again, or was there something else to it? Because if you were just going to talk about it to like mention it, we've talked about it already.
Okay. Well. Just transitioning from that, but also related. So the guy who talked about Oumuamua, Avi Loeb, the Harvard astronomer, he started the Galileo project.
Okay.
And they are actually releasing a paper on these metal balls they found in the Indian Ocean this summer. They're releasing a paper of whether these are like naturally made or artificially made, because basically there was something that crashed in the Indian Ocean a few years ago. I don't know what year it was, but then they knew where exactly it crashed, and they knew it wasn't, based on the trajectory, that it wasn't from the solar system. So it was an extrasolar object that crashed into Earth.
But in the Indian Ocean?
Yes. So it was something extrasolar that crashed into Earth, and there was something like these circular spherical metal beads that came from it. And they are basic, and he's releasing the study soon. And this is a Harvard funded study by the Galileo Project.
Wait, since I think we last recorded, or I don't know. So I don't know. We've never talked about the moon landing.
What about the moon landing?
India's rover, or not rover, sorry.
What does that have to do with
Chandrayaan?
What does that have to do with the
I don't
UFOs?
know. They might find something. That Reddit guy said that there's more footprints on Mars, or not Mars, sorry, moon.
12 men on the moon.
12 men on the moon.
But they're not even they didn't even go close to where the people went on the moon landings.
I know they didn't, but I'm saying
they went to the South Pole.
They landed on the south side of the moon. Do you have any take on that? Do you have any?
Not really.
Not really?
No.
You don't think aliens hide on the south side of
no,
the moon?
The moon is too cold and has too vast.
I don't know. I'm just asking questions.
The energy swings on the moon are too fast. It's very inhospitable. Or we could be like, I don't know if you watched this disaster movie by Roland Emmerich that came out last year called Moonfall, where they basically are like, the moon isn't real. It's an artificial object created by aliens. And the outside of it is basically fake. Bro, and it's basically like just a thing created by an AI.
Bro, what?
Yeah, that was the entire movie. It's called Moonfall. It was terrible. It was by the same guy that made that movie 2012. Like the disaster movies.
Yeah. So that movie, I think, scarred me as a kid.
That movie was ridiculous.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, the neutrinos are reacting. Guess what? Neutrinos are particles that don't react with anything. And they still don't react with anything. Oh, the neutrinos are reacting and they're making the Earth's crust get replaced. It doesn't even make any sense, because why would neutrinos just randomly start reacting after not reacting?
I don't know, something triggered.
They're massless particles.
I mean, I don't debate me. I didn't make the movie, bro.
Fuck.
Okay, what's the next topic? Last topic that you wanted to talk about. The UAPs just in general? Or you have UAPs listed here.
Yeah, so now let's get a little more speculative now.
Okay, let's do that. I like that part more. So let's do that.
So, we've talked about UFOs a little. So there's this journalist named Ross Coulthart. I feel like we might have mentioned him once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, so he's been really involved with all this. He's been getting interviewed by, and he's an Australian journalist. He's released a couple documentaries on this. He's like a legitimate Australian journalist too. Like he used to cover wars and stuff for them, and now he's covering UFOs, which I think is funny. I'm like, did he get demoted or something? How did he land on this? But I think he's making a lot of money from the books.
Okay.
But anyway, he said that he claimed, so he has a high level source in the U.S. government that says that a U.S. ally, there's a large building, like within a U.S. ally's country or territory that supposedly surrounds a giant crashed UFO. Apparently there's a giant UFO somewhere, and they've basically created a building around it. And he said,
hide it.
Yeah,
but we don't know which ally.
he didn't say. He's like, I can't
Is this in
reveal
his
it.
book?
No, he said it was doing an interview.
Okay,
And
that's very mysterious.
yeah, I know, right? And he's like, I can't say what ally it is because it's a national security issue. I feel like you can. I feel like you can say what country it is that this building might be in. You might not have to tell us where exactly this building is, but just tell us what country.
I don't know.
it's in.
Maybe some geolocators can locate.
Yeah, so
it.
it's interesting. Some of these people on Reddit, they've been trying to find what country it could be. So they've just been randomly pointing at big ass buildings in different U.S. allied countries. It's really funny. There's this building in South Korea, which is like, they're like one of our biggest allies.
Yeah.
It kind of looks circular. And I'm like, bro, it's not going to look circular
Yeah,
too.
it's probably like a big square or like a, you know. I think it's probably just in a warehouse.
Well, he said it's an archaeological site, and the UAP was giant, the size of a building. So they just built around it. So if it's an archaeological site.
How big? Like a stadium or some shit?
Like a large building. That's what he said.
Do you think it's like a proper building? Like up on top they have offices and on the bottom.
I mean, they could. He said they built around it. I don't know if that means.
Do you think it's like in a city?
It could be like one. Yeah. So one of the things some people on Reddit are like, oh, there's this military base in Seoul. I'm like, and then
there's a big one.
It was kind of circular, and they're like, it could be this thing on top of the mountain in Seoul. But he also said something interesting. He said it was a part of an archaeological site, and then they just built a military base or something around it.
Wait, what type of archaeological site?
What do you mean? What type of archaeological? Just something old they found in the ground and they couldn't move it.
They found the UFO, or
that's yes.
Okay, so that's our it's not like there was something else before the UFO. The UFO didn't crash.
No, it wasn't like pyramids.
I don't know, man.
No, you are obsessed with the pyramids.
I am obsessed with the pyramids, man.
They weren't built by the aliens.
I feel like there's something going on. There's a lot about the pyramids where apparently they used to be taller than they are.
That's just erosion.
No, but like there's a
bro, they're a pyramid that you can see where it ends.
There's a theory that like something crashed into it.
I have never heard this before, and I've heard all these things.
No, I will pull it up.
Please pull it up, Jamie.
I am not Jamie, but I think we're running out of time today, so we'll record it on the next one. But there is like legit evidence.
I like how we've gone from plausible pieces of evidence to
you
just
said this one is more like not scientific facts, but just
no. The earlier part was scientific facts, but this part is more speculative. But
you said the UAP part was speculative.
Yes, I mean that's all the UAP part because we still don't know shit,
bro. I want to see a photo of them.
I know you have them.
I don't have. How would you? They think you think that they hired me?
I think they censor you.
You think they censored me? Okay,
yep.
Fair enough.
But yeah. That's our episode for today. You know, we discussed some plausible explanations for plausible pieces of evidence we have for alien life. And, you know, I think it's good to just keep grounded for a little bit because people just think we have no evidence for anything, but we have pieces of unexplained evidence. And
I think it's very hard for people to get behind it because it's like people, when you think of extraterrestrial life, you just have this image right here. pop in your head.
Yeah, but they could
So-
also just be microbes.
Yes, they could also.
Most
just
life on
be
Earth is
microbes.
microbes.
True. Yeah, but human beings, I think, are very centered around themselves, and they think that if there's external life, they start thinking about like actual life.
Okay, but we haven't even
like
found
people
evidence
life.
of microbial life. So that's
It's
what
a
we're
big
trying
deal.
to do.
It's a big deal.
I
to
think
be-
that's just as big of a deal, and we should be discussing that more.
Yeah.
Microbial life, because if we find
I sound dumb.
if we find microbial life on Mars,
Yeah.
it means it's widely spread in the universe.
I mean,
If we find it on Mars, that means it's widely spread.
how does that mean it's widely spread? How,
Because that means we've already found so many different exoplanets similar to Mars or even more habitable than Mars in a bunch of different star systems. We found about 20,000 different exoplanets.
in the last decade, we have found a lot more exoplanets.
Yeah, exactly. And so, some of them are way more habitable than Mars. And if Mars has evidence
They
of
must.
microbial, then these must
They
have.
must have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If life
the
gets-
the conditions they just have to be perfect.
I mean, no, I don't think they have to be perfect. Earth isn't perfect. Earth has a lot of things going for it, but what we're actually looking for right now, they called it Earth 2.0. Basically, an exoplanet that's better than the Earth. We don't know that right now. We only know life exists on Earth, but many scientists that are looking for exoplanets speculate that there could be planets better for life than Earth. So they're called Earth
also
2.0s.
That's also possible.
But yeah,
Okay.
so we want to end this podcast on like a note, being less speculative. But I hope this information was really helpful.
Yeah, man.
You can use it as at house parties to seem more interesting.
Yes.
Won't make you look crazy.
It might make you look
No,
crazy.
this won't. This is actual scientific information. Won't make you look crazy.
It might make you
Might
just-
make you look crazy. But
Okay. Let's end it right there. But other than that, like, share, subscribe the pod, or follow it on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, all that stuff. It helps with the algorithm. And
email your congressional representative.
and email us
Asking, please email us. Give us some questions, things
Yeah.
we should look into,
or like stories if you have of like
if you've seen it, if you've had a UFO
sightings
sighting.
or all that, because that's why I'm here. Because when this episode, I was kind of zoned out, I'm not gonna lie, because there's a lot of scientific fact that Samara threw at us. And if you're more in the camp of me, where you like to hear about stories where people had sightings and all that stuff, and you know a story of a sighting, email it to paranormalpundits@gmail.com. The pundits is spelled with a U. So paranormal, PUNDITS @gmail.com. And we'll see y'all in the next episode.
Peace.
Peace.